So for most rig building, people would utilize crimps to put above and below. For example, when you're creating snoods of your main rig body, to create the snoods off, you would usually put a crimp above, crimp below, the two beads, and then, for example, a swivel in between. The problem with crimps is that essentially they literally, as the word would indicate, they crimp the line. So you squash them with a pair of crimp pliers onto your rig body, which here I've just got some bog standard greased weasel in £60. So what happens is you crimp it onto the main line. It stops everything from sliding up and down. The downside of that is that by crimping the main line, you actually damage the main line and reduce the strength of that main line. So even though it starts as £60, obviously by damaging it, it's going to reduce it, and can reduce it quite drastically if you crimp it too much. And obviously then safety factors come into play. Now, a good way around this is to actually utilize some Gemini Neoprene. It's basically a tubing, but it's the rig tubing essentially. It comes in a 1 meter length and 1 meter pack. Now this is very different to your silicone tubing, which you may use for stopping bait from sliding up your line, etc. This is actually a very different thing. So it's, that's silicone. This is actually or PVC. This is actually neoprene. So I'm just going to show you how I'd actually utilize this from a rig building perspective. I'm just going to get some rig beads, just a couple of rig beads, a couple of them, and then just one snood swivel. Just get one of them. And what I then do is, with the neoprene tubing, is that I chop them into little sections, and they're basically around 3 millimeters long, 3 to 4 millimeters long, and that's usually ample. And what I do with it is, this is really simple as well. So you literally just take it through the center of the rig tubing once, and then take it through a second time. So no knots are created at all. It's literally just looping around the rig tubing, and as you draw that in, it pinches into a stop knot. So you just slide that down a bit. Now one stop knot or one of these is not enough, so you need to use, you can use 3 below if you want to. I usually just use 2. I don't mind it sliding around a little bit. So I use, so say 2 like that, and the force of the 2 actually trap together really well and do stop them from sliding down too much. Again, if you want a bit more support, you can use 3, but you can see the 2 just sits well there. Then I would slide on the bead, just slide that on, then the swivel, then another bead. If you lay all these things out, it becomes a lot easier just to create all these in one go. So there's the bottom section done, and then you'd come back and then you'd loop through one more section, and then a second piece of neoprene tubing again. Again, this isn't damaging the line whatsoever, so you keep that £60 strength, and that's the key factor. It's a safety factor, and it's also really neat. So if you see that, really neat. The other key factor about utilizing these is that if your snood stretches, for example, when you've crimped your line, you can't move those crimps to readjust if you have like an impact shield or whatever. With these you can always, or if you want to fish this further down towards the lead, for example, you just slide one down, and they're quite difficult to slide down. Then you slide the second one down, and then you just slide the rest down on top of it. So you can actually readjust the positioning of the snood on your rig body. So actually it adds a lot of versatility to your rigs as well, beyond just what a normal crimped version would do. So again, quite a few benefits to utilising this, and namely very much the safety being paramount at all times, and this really does aid things from a safety perspective. So give it a go. Again, it's the Gemini Neoprene Rig Tubing. Not very expensive. From one pack you will create a couple of dozen rigs, I'm sure. So give it a go.